You're listening to Robo Robb Radio. I am on the phone with Tommie Green, also known as Jay Illis. Jay, what's going on?
What's up, Robo? How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's been a while. I think it's been, about 5-6 years since we've seen each other?
Sounds about right.
So we first met at the Mitten Movie Project. Shout out to Connie for throwing all those wonderful events.
Yes, what's up, Connie?
What's up to Connie, man? So you've been all over the place since we last spoke, man. You've been in California, now you're back in Michigan. Just give the audience briefly what would be like your 30-second, bio that you would give somebody when you were introducing yourself.
Oh man, I'm just a humble artist, is all. But actually, I just got back from Austin, Texas. I was down there for the last 5 years.
Okay.
Rubbing shoulders with a lot of industry connects in the music, and in the film too. There's the South by Southwest Festival in Austin, Texas. After New York and California, I believe that Austin, Texas is probably number 3 in the nation for the arts. It's really popping out there.
Nice. So, you must have been down there for. I went to South by Southwest 3 years in a row. I think 2011 through 2013. So were you down there for that whole time?
Yeah, I was down there for 2013 and 2014. I actually volunteered, and I met a lot of artists that way.
Okay. But beyond that, you've worked with a lot of artists as it is. One of the things that I find interesting is how we came to know one another. The first thing that I've ever seen you in was your Fabric gigging video. And what I find so fascinating about this, and it is like ingrained in my brain, is that it's almost a parody of hip hop, but not quite, because it's like a multi-layered criticism, where you reference, bottle returns in Michigan and how you save money. You reference reduce, reuse, recycle, and there's a connection between environmentalism and bottle returns. And whereas most videos of rap are like self-depreciating, or most parodies of rap are self-depreciating of the society that they exist in, this video clearly parodies those who have like a positive message. Can you explain a little bit about, where this, video came about, or where this idea came? And not to, bring up like your older art, but I find this a very fascinating example of your work.
No, that's okay. I appreciate it. I just find that the common man in hip-hop has lost his voice, or he's like really underground. I feel like hip-hop, it does not have to be defined as far as subject matter. The flow and delivery that you have can be applied to anything, any message. I like to use my art as a reference to help people, and I try to make that apparent in my subject matter, especially going forward with this new album that I'm about to release called The Prophet. It's all themed. It's like the rapping Bob Marley.
Okay. So, I think the video work of yours speaks for itself. You do have a very strong background, but it's something that you picked up. I wouldn't say secondhand, because it's something that you were doing, but you were a rapper before you were an artist. Or correct me if I'm wrong. That's kind of the sense that I got. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And I shouldn't make a different, like, rap is art, but I mean a fine artist or videographer. How would you explain your video work? Like, where does a lot of that come from? Because I watched another video while I was looking through some of your work, and this Lemonhead video came up, and I thought it was brilliant. For these Lil Wayne interviews, explain some of because it's like there's almost two identities competing here. You have this comedic side and then this music side, or would you not make that differentiation?
It's funny. See, art, I believe, is ever evolving. I started off drawing, and I've told this story lots of times. but that's just how it always was. I was always the A student in my art class, and I had never seen myself on video until my mother bought a video camera when I was 15 years old. I was just blown away by it. I mean, at this time, I had already released my first mixtape, so I kind of just naturally combined my, infatuation with video and music into directing music videos, where I directed my first music video in 2006, I believe, for Big Sean, Eating Good, and, it just took off from there. And, when I'm in film mode, I am a different person. I consider myself to be Tommie Green, but then when I'm rap, I feel like I'm on a different platform to deliver a message that Tommie Green really couldn't. It's sort of like an alter ego type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Where did this is maybe a personal curiosity, where did Big Sean go?
It's funny, I was just listening to Big Sean today. Big Sean,
Can you send me like, man, what's that song that he had that was super dope, man? I can't remember it, and I've always been looking for it.
Glop Time, probably on that album.
I don't know.
Shout out to B Major.
There was a great song that he had back in like 2011, maybe 2012. That was really.
It was probably on the Shanimal mixtape.
Yeah.
Why Are You Hating? I Love You.
Yeah. Where's that song? Do you have that?
No, it's on YouTube, man.
It is on YouTube. Could you send me a link to that?
Sure thing.
Man, I missed that track. So where's Big Sean?
Sean's all over the place. Last I seen, he's vacationing. I don't follow him like that, but he's always on the beach or something. Looks like he's having a good time.
Did he change his name or?
I think he did have a little alter ego thing going on too for a minute, but I think he's still Big Sean. Who also introduced me to Big Sean, who I did a lot of work with before he blew up, or while he was blowing up.
During the rise, right?
Yeah, around 2009 and 10.
Okay, back with the you worked with the art direction a while, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, they're good people over there. I don't know, are they still doing things? Did Dante take that out to LA and just work with it, or is it kind of dissolved?
I was in that circle real tough for like 3 years straight, and being on the inside, it's just a different perspective. But when you get out, or when things change, a lot of success came to a lot of people that was in that circle.
Absolutely.
So,
I remember, way back in the day before Lawrence Lamont was, doing a lot of things. He had this little, movie, man, and I saw it, and it was about this kid playing chess, and I interviewed him back in 2009 about this, and I think he always says I was the first radio interview he had.
Really?
Yeah. So that.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
These are, all the people you're working with art direction, and they're all good people, and I really like following them and seeing what they're up to, because it's all really, really innovative, and I'm proud of all this stuff coming out of the city. Especially, the city gets a lot of love for, of course, rap music or music in general, but not so much love for its visual arts, and that's one of the things that I'm really drawn to with your own work, is the visual work that you're doing. I'm watching this Lemonheads video, and I don't know if this was your idea, but where did that bird come from?
That's Dave Shaney, man. He's crazy.
Man, that was wild. So, I'm curious, in your early music career, you shared a stage with Blade Icewood. Did you have any deeper connection with him than just sharing a stage with him, or what was that about?
That was the only time that I was able to work on anything together with Blade, and that was just around the time that he was murdered. So even if I had a deeper connection with him, it probably wouldn't have gone too far. But rest in peace, Blade. And yeah, that was a real good show, a real good look for the rap group that I was in.
So could you explain, because we're broadcasting terrestrially to an audience that is unlikely familiar with Blade Icewood, could you explain real quick what Blade Icewood means to the city of Detroit, or even, Highland Park, where you're from?
Blade Icewood is the premier underground local rapper for the city of Detroit. He made a song, Boss Up and Get This Money. You may have seen the dance in a lot of Detroit artists' music videos. He was brutally murdered with an AK-47 on 7 Mile shot, I believe. I don't know how many times, multiple times, and it was, it was a bad time for the city all around at the time, even financially. So, but the city, we've moved on. Things are getting better. We have a lot of brand new artists out here, hitting the scene. You got the Doughboys, Cash Out. You got the Lil George, Cashed Out, Icewear Vezo, and Peasy, and they all pay their respects to Blade Icewood.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things in your bio is you mentioned your philosophical efforts. Would you mind briefly going into your philosophy, or what are your different takes on philosophy? What kind of philosophies you have, or things that you might share with the audience?
Well, that's a really deep question, man, because that really encompasses all of life. I have a philosophy in feng shui, which is the study and the lifestyle of achieving perfect balance and harmony. You should not have a deficiency or a lack of anything, and you should not have too much of anything. Everything should be in perfect moderation. So when you have for instance, a neighborhood who is lacking in funds to be able to, keep their school system in float, then there has to be something done about the abandoned buildings that people are making and selling drugs out of, and, abandoned stray animals and house fires on Devil's Night is just an eyesore to the city and to the community. So, going back to Giggin, I donated the proceeds from that project to the Motor City Blightbusters to help, destroy the blight, rejuvenate the city where I come from, because Highland Park, many people don't know, is a very small city inside of Detroit, and it's very impoverished, but it used to be the suburbs of Detroit. It is where Highland Park built the first car plant, the Model T, Henry Ford. That's in Highland Park. And now I have to dodge crackheads and drug dealers and prostitutes on my morning commute to school. That should not have to be the life for any student trying to get an education. So I involve myself really heavily in my community, and I stay deeply rooted to Highland Park, and I work very closely with the mayor, DeAndre Wyndham. I'm actually meeting with him next weekend so that we can discuss some efforts that we can put into the school system to making sure that they don't close down the schools that I graduated, elementary and high school from, like they just tore down my high school. Yeah. It's kind of sad, but, I try to use my art to speak to people and wake them up that we have to do better in our communities and with our children.
That's a very interesting philosophical approach to a city like Detroit, and I never really thought about it from that real material sense, that there is an abundance of houses, there is excess, in illicit trades, and then there is a deficiency or a lack of abundance for people living in poverty, and how all of this creates an imbalance in the community. I think that's a very fascinating approach to looking at a city like Detroit or a city like Highland Park.
There's definitely an imbalance, especially in the nation, considering, what they say, that the top 1% owns 99% of the currency. It's just going to be that way. That's the energy that's in the air, especially seeing as it's election season, you know, everyone has to try and put their best foot forward and making the world a better place. And using your artwork is a very powerful way to do that.
Absolutely. Can you, I don't mean to abruptly shift conversation, but could you speak on, you know, what you gained from your time at CSS, the College for Creative Studies in Detroit? I do have many friends who have went through the program there, and I'm fascinated on what's your take of, you know, getting a fine arts education, especially considering a lot of your work, most of mainstream society would not necessarily consider quote-unquote fine art, despite the amount of effort it takes to produce the work that you're doing.
Yeah, CCS was a time in my life that I will never forget, even though it only lasted 1 year. At this time, they didn't have a film course. That's what I originally went for. The counselor, she instructed me that there would be a film course, but she didn't know when. So I didn't really have the money, $9,000 a semester, to continue in digital animation, which is what they had me in. So I had to drop out after a year. But within that year, they taught me how to use a Mac. They taught me how to use the whole Adobe Creative Suite, because you had to know these things, the basics, before you can get up to, you know, working on Shrek or Bug Life. And those skills that I took from that 1 year, I still use and make money from today as a graphic designer. You know, so if I would, and now they have a film program. And, you know, after going out to Los Angeles and, you know, seeing the competition that's out there, basically you need a degree in order to even get your foot in the door of an internship. So I do plan on going back to school, you know, maybe CCS, and getting my bachelor's in fine arts, which is the same degree that, you know, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and all those older directors have. You know, you could always try to roll the dice and get lucky on the independent tip, but, you know, I like to go for the sure thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were named one of Michigan's top guerrilla filmmakers. Can you explain guerrilla film to us?
Guerrilla film, I guess that's just a friendly term for illegal filmmaking. It's when you just, you know, you post up and you shoot. This was in my earlier days, without a warrant or, you know, without, you know, authorization to be able to do that. I did get familiar with the people at the Detroit Film Office, and I was granted access to Belle Isle and some other spots downtown to shoot one of my films later down the line. But yeah, they basically wanted me to speak on how I was able to shoot so many productions without, you know, permission. I thought it was kind of interesting, so why not?
Yeah, I find that fascinating, especially in a, you know, a city or an area that has been largely left to rot by, you know, local, state, and federal governments, that, you know, you need basic permission to capture vision when, you know, that's what we're doing in general. Even without the equipment, we're able to walk around and see things, but, you know, for some reason you can't film without getting permission. I find that fascinating.
You know, and I've had a lot of run-ins with the law filming without permission, such as I was filming on Wayne State campus one time, and their campus security handcuffed us and put us in the back of their campus security car and impounded our car. It was all bad. And, you know, I've had many instances like that. So, you know, for just getting tired of having that happen while you're shooting in public, that's why I decided to go legit with it.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating. So to briefly break it down, because, you know, we are broadcasting from a university, how does a university police force have the jurisdiction to handcuff and detain you?
We were on the campus.
No, I understand, but basically, you know, the campus is an urban institute, and it's kind of intermeshed with the city. So what kind of jurisdiction do they have to detain somebody just for simply doing something that is as harmless as filming? Do you know?
You know, if we were to try and make sense of the police and their laws, we would be here all day. Because I've been in the back seat of several cop cars for unjustified purposes. So this is just one instance.
So one of the things that I found very fascinating, and if you don't want to speak on this, you don't have to, but you have an Instagram post that I came across from your time in the Oakland County Jail. And you start off with the quote, you know, the artist's job is to be witness to his time in history, by Robert Rauschenberg. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. The true punishment of imprisonment is the test of faith, and we are separated from those that we love. It's my honor to utilize my talent to restore hope during trying times. This collection of artwork represents meaning to the inmates of Oakland County Jail between, and I'm not going to say the dates here, but you were privileged enough to capture these images with a number 2 pencil and toilet paper shading stick. Can you share a little bit about your you don't have to share the specifics of anything that happened, but I'm curious about you documenting this, because I've read many books and many stories from people who were imprisoned, you know, prisoners of conscience and things of that nature, who have either written books or, you know, even, you know, there's people who were imprisoned hundreds of years ago by the Vatican, you know, in Rome, and they wrote like a 500-page book, right, while they were in there. I'm interested about your take on this, you know, production of art while you were incarcerated.
Well, that's a very interesting question, seeing as you tie art into it. Basically, you have to find some way to kill the time. I don't mean to shine light on the jail or the prison system, but it's really not as bad as the media tries to make it seem. You know, they can trap your body, but they can't trap your mind. If you come to true acceptance with yourself and your situation, then you will see the benefits in having all of your time to yourself, to study, to learn a new trade, or to enhance your current skills. For me, it's been a while since I've drawn. I'm either in the studio or editing something, so to just draw with, you know, what I have available to me, I was able to increase my skills as a fine artist. I made some of the best artwork that I've ever drawn in jail, and I was in high demand. My list was weeks out. People were willing to pay me anything because I was just that good. I was in my element. I was in the zone. I was, you know, and it's funny, like I was saying to you earlier before we started the interview, you find that blessings are deeply rooted in what we consider to be failures and challenges in life. You know, I found another calling while I was in jail on the art tip. I might start doing tattoos, because every day someone's like, you need to do my tattoo. You need to do my tattoo. Now I'm learning how to do tattoos.
Absolutely. When you were a little kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, the first thing I can remember wanting to be was a baseball player. I was really into baseball. I did 2 seasons of, and we won the championship the first season, which kind of made me want to be Ken Griffey Jr. I don't really know what happened. I guess around high school, after I started doing the music, and I had a job, so I didn't have the time to play on sports. So I just kind of left that alone, and I just wanted to at first be a famous entertainer, but now I just want to be able to live in a $300,000 home with about 4 cars and maybe about 5 kids and a nice wife, you know, off the water, somewhere without a lot of neighbors. You know, that's success to me. I don't care too much for wanting to be the most popular rapper or the most popular director. I more so care about the fact that my art resonates with people and is appreciated, that I am accepted into the artistic community, and that I continue to grow and evolve as an artist.
Absolutely. So I don't want don't want to end the interview until we chat about what you got coming up. So you have this album called The Prophet coming out. You're releasing under your stage name, Jay Ellis. Can you speak a little bit about where this project comes from?
Well, this project, in count, is my 7th project overall. It is my first solo album. I did release an album with a group several years ago. But yes, this is my first solo album. It's called The Prophet because my grandmother, Mary Green, named my father, Tommie Samuel Green, Samuel being from the Bible, the prophet who anointed David as king, David who slew Goliath. So I'm a junior. This is basically, like I said, a themed album. I am speaking from the perspective of Samuel the prophet, as in I'm having visions. And my grandmother, she recently passed in 2012. So, I like to believe that she is speaking to me and through me. We had a very close relationship. So I themed and I based my album and dedicated to my grandmother. And I also have some features from some local artists, including a lot of my family, Lewis Automatic, Young Fool, Hollis Jordan. I have a lot of producers. This album has been recorded over the last 5 years in different states, from Texas to Detroit to just all over the place. And it's only 10 tracks, but trying to find a balance between my filmmaking and my music. I don't have much time to just focus on one thing, but I'm finally gonna release this album on 12/10/16, which is my father's birthday. Many people don't know that, but I can't wait. This is my most proud effort in music so far, and I just hope that everybody enjoys it as much as I do.
It's interesting you say it's only 10 tracks, but that's 10 more tracks than most of humanity has ever produced, right?
That's all you need.
That's all you need, man. So I got one final question. Kind of, some people get mad at this question, I think. But what do you want to, if you would view this interview as a time capsule, what do you want to tell yourself 5 years from now?
Oh, wow. Get your shit together. Oh, I'm sorry, that's curse. I mean,
I'll edit it out.
You know what I mean?
Good, man.
Get it together, man. I always feel like there's room for improvement, no matter how much so-called success we achieve. You always got to dream big and stay focused.
All right. Well, Tommie, Jay Ellis, man, thank you for speaking with me. I appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck with this album.
Robo Robb, I really appreciate this opportunity to speak with you and all of New York. Here's a little story. I actually recorded a couple of tracks out in Queens, New York, for that aforementioned album I did with my rap group. And it was one of those experiences that you don't forget. I had a New York slice, and it burnt the roof of my mouth like Nas said it would. Went to Manhattan, went to Staten Island and Brooklyn. I went to almost all the boroughs. It was just a good time, and the songs came out good too. So shout out to Queens.
Fantastic. Well, Tommie, thank you, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you, man.
Peace.
Have a good one.